What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of Overthinking Media. I'm your host, Michael, joined by Harry.
Hello.
And John.
Hi.
How are we all this week?
Tired, but good. Ready to go.
Monday blues.
Let's go.
I think it's been moving furniture.
So, it's Halloween. 2 days. Are we all prepared? Do we all have everything ready?
Do you mean, am I going to sit indoors with the lights off? Yes.
Avoid all the trick-or-treaters?
Yes.
Are you ready, John?
I'm going to buy loads of sweets and then eat them myself.
Eat them myself, yeah. Probably the same. A few drinks with friends on the weekend, you know. So, in this week's main topic, as it's Halloween in 2 days' time, we're going to be discussing the best Halloween movies. You want to kick us off, Harry?
I'm going to start with a more recent one that I know not anyone's seen at this table yet, I don't believe. Mm-hmm. A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I need to see that.
This film is something else. It's that film where some form of monster / alien, you never really find out. It's not really that important, but they're blind and they can't smell, I don't think.
Is it like a post-apocalyptic setting?
Yeah, and it's all they can hear sound from like miles away, any kind of sound, and they'll go and kill anyone who makes any kind of sound. Mm-hmm. So it's about how this family who live on a farm learn to like survive a post-apocalyptic world, unable to make any form of sound whatsoever. And they have a deaf daughter, which means they already know sign language. And so much detail is put, not into kind of the horror aspect of like the monsters chasing them, but more into the horrible way that they have to live, like to not make any sound.
They have to live barefoot, don't they, basically?
Yeah, so they're walking to town. You can see they put sand down. So as they go into town, there's sand down so they can walk along the sand and not make any sound or damage their feet. And then there's a bit where they're playing Monopoly and they've had to get rid of all of the playing pieces, and they've got little bits of cotton wool as like playing pieces, because even the tapping of just having to live in this complete silence. It's
especially with kids as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't want to say any more. I would just highly advise you watch that. It's directed by the guy who's Jim in The Office. You never watched The American Office, have you?
No.
So it's directed by the guy who played Jim in The Office, who's normally a comedian. He's like a comedy actor. He's played this. He's directed this movie. He's played this game. He's directed this movie.
Isn't he? So Emily Blunt's in it.
Yep.
She's fantastic.
That's his wife.
It's his wife, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do want to watch that. That's definitely on my.
You
on
will
my watch
enjoy
list.
that.
Well, as I say, I wanted to watch it, but then there was an issue in regards to you need to have the subtitles in English to watch.
Yeah, I had that. They're in Japanese.
Yeah. So you couldn't. I couldn't watch it.
Go on.
I
Carry
couldn't
on.
watch it.
Move your cup of tea out of the way in front of you and put the microphone in front of you. There we go.
Right, okay. I was enjoying my cup of tea, but so I couldn't watch it. But he's also ruined that film for me.
The Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you tell the story, John.
Well, no. There's the scene in the bath.
Yep.
Obviously, I've not seen the film,
It's
but
very
I've
good
heard
scene.
about the scene in the bath. He's found a video where they've done she's farting in the bath.
Yeah, I can see. I've seen that. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Once it's in the context of the entire film, you might find it has its terror back.
Yeah.
It's a good bit.
So I definitely want to watch that. I'm going to watch that. I'll try and watch it soon, actually.
I was thinking about using it as a suggestion for this, but it's too good and too recent, and do you know what I mean? I just watch it. It's very good.
But there is a Quiet Place too, so there's kind of got to be the case.
A Quieter Place.
A Quieter Place.
Yeah.
So there's a sequel being completed.
Apparently,
He's writing it now.
Okay.
Because he wrote it, starred in it, and directed it.
he did, and he did all of them very well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any standout films for you, John? Halloween wise?
I
know you're not a big fan of.
Oh well, I'm not a big
horror.
fan of like the horror films, but then there are the Halloween films. Like one that, I guess it's a classic now, is Hocus Pocus.
No, that was on in the bar I was in on Friday. The bar we were in were dead, and they had Hocus Pocus on, and George was like, oh, "This is really boring. I'd rather just go home and watch Hocus Pocus."
I think we grew up with that film.
Yeah, I remember that film.
It's about 30 years old, something like that.
It's definitely not 30 years old because I'm 32 and I remember seeing it in the cinema.
Oh, okay.
So it was like mid-90s, I think.
And so there's that one. Obviously, that's a classic now. And you've got the songs in it as well. Was the song original to the film? I can't remember.
I can't even remember this film.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Is it actually
I put
scary?
a spell on you.
Oh no, that's not.
Well, no, it's not. Well, it's not really scary. There are elements of it because they want to eat the kid. Do they want to eat the kids?
I haven't seen it enough.
I haven't seen it in a while, but they sew a zombie guy's mouth up, and there's scary stuff in it, but it's not scary.
Right.
In a way, it is for kids. It's a kids' film, essentially.
Going.
But so there's a guy sewing his mouth up.
Right.
There's a book with an eye. I think they're trying to eat the kids.
So for a young audience, it's going to be a little bit.
For a young audience, I watched it last Halloween with Kate, and it's just a watch. Now it's not like anything to it, but it's just.
So you're not like into your like Halloween, your classic Halloween and Scream and Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Scream a lot. I like Scream. Scream's great.
The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is fantastic.
I hate. The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh yeah, that's my wife hates that.
I hate that, and that's not really a Halloween film.
Well,
It's
horror Halloween. Yeah.
And then what's another scary one? Not a scary one. Halloween film. I've completely forgot.
So I have like a guilty pleasure Halloween series because like I think these movies are really terrible, but at the same time genius, and that's all of the Final Destination movies.
Yeah.
Like,
do you know,
particularly the last one.
I remember the first one coming out in 2000.
Right.
I remember it. I was 10. I shouldn't have watched it. As we were watching it, one of my dad's friends asked us to go out for a Chinese, and I sat and watched that film while my parents were getting ready to go out, and I shouldn't have, and it was frightening.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
But then they just got a bit...
They go...
You know?
By the time they get to the third one, it's just more of the same, and then they try and go... The fourth one, they try in, let's do 3D, and that still doesn't work. And then the fifth one...
At the height of the 3D age.
Yeah.
Everything was 3D.
Like, so every death was just a death towards the camera.
Yeah.
And they were all like, how can we kill this person? By making it come towards the camera. It's that guy who gets squished against the fence, like a chain link fence, and his body parts just get, like, meat grinded through the fence towards the camera. It just looks awful. The last one's really good though. Like, have you seen the last one? There's a good, really good.
What one is it?
So the last one is just The Final Destination. So it's just called The Final Destination. I don't really want to spoil it because it has a very, very, very clever ending.
Okay.
So, but then I can't suggest it enough to make go and watch it. It's great. It's not great. It's another Final Destination film. So basically, at the end of it. So it started. You know how every film starts with a huge disaster, and they all survive, and they shouldn't survive because they've had a vision, and then one by one they get taken out.
Do they all start with a huge disaster?
Every single one starts with some form of huge
plane crash, roller coaster. What else?
Plane crash, roller coaster. Then there's that highway, all the logs falling off on the highway. I can't remember what the fourth one is, and then the fifth one they're on a bridge in a traffic jam, and there's an earthquake, and the bridge starts to collapse. So the characters survive that. One by one, they all start getting knocked off. But at the end of this one, a bunch of them survive. And they're like, if they get the idea of maybe if they get out of the country or get away from where it happened, that they'll carry on living. And what happens is they get on a flight. And as they're getting on that flight, you see the characters from the first movie getting off. And it comes full circle. And the last film's actually a surprise prequel to the first one.
Oh, okay.
So the twist at the end is... They all die on the plane crash that sparks the first movie.
Okay.
I was like, that's really smart. I didn't see that coming at all.
I do, yeah, it was freaky that was. The one where is it the first one where she gets strangled by the shower cord in the bathroom, and she's just she's just like strangling to death, and she can't. That was horrible. I remember watching that young, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I've got some friends, right, that watch some grim stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's a film called Martius that my friends, every time I go out for a drink with them, every now and again, they tell me to watch it, and I'm like, no. And it's like proper, like horrible stuff. Like the Martyrs is the premise is that there's this cult that tortures this girl to the point where they sort of skin her alive and they sort of like crucify her, and they're a religious cult and they want to see like what happens to her, like the threshold of death and what she sees, if she sees the devil or God, and she tells them something at the end. It's like a proper. So I don't go down that route because I wouldn't. That's
no, I don't. I don't understand. I don't get the appeal of those ultra graphic, horrible films like that. Like things like there's that.
It's the Apocalypse one.
The Apocalypse one.
There's Is it Green Inferno?
That Eli Roth movie.
Yeah,
and things
sort of
like
stuff.
Human Centipede and Human Centipede 2.
Isn't it Cannibal Holocaust? That was one that was banned.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a nice movie.
And I don't get the appeal because I like, as we'll find out later, I like the story and the way the movies make me think to be the scary part, not the here's a bunch of gore and horrible stuff happening to people.
Well, I watched not long ago. Those other friends as well gave me a few suggestions.
Yeah.
And one of them was As Above, So Below. And if you've seen that,
Right, I've heard about it.
I've heard of that film.
This is a good. It's quite gory. It's quite intense. But the premise again is there's catacombs under Paris historically, and these young kids venture into these catacombs after hours.
Sounds like The Descent.
Yeah, kind of. That's a great UK
That's
movie.
That's a good film. Yeah.
And there's parts of Tomb Raider that remind me of The Descent, actually.
Right. Yeah. No, I can see that. Yeah.
We'll come back to that. But yeah, so they go into these catacombs and they sort of what they end up doing essentially is they end up going down the 9 circles of hell as Dante's Inferno's 18th century poem.
Oh yeah,
it's a great book, by the way. Morbidly weird, but yeah, it's a great read. And they go down the circles of hell. It's very psychological, and they have to basically go down to get up. It's very strange the way it sort of is, and they're each tested on their sins, and it's a great film. So that's one that I definitely recommend people watch. There's obviously your classic Halloween and your classic Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
But there's another couple as well. Has anyone seen the Record movies?
Oh no.
Yes.
Which one?
Which one?
Well, I've only seen one where. Right. So there's one.
I watched the foreign one.
Yeah, that's the one where
that's the only one.
Where the kids get into this.
I can't remember it too much because you know what? Don't like. Well, it was an okay film, but I don't like it.
So I think the one I've seen is
the Spanish one. Is the original, the Spanish original one, where the news reporter
going with the firefighters.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's horrible.
It got remade as Quarantine in America as rubbish, and apparently the sequels, the Spanish sequels, are good, but I've not seen them because I watched the original wreck.
Yeah.
In a council tower block, just like the one in the film at silly o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So I watched a movie about the place I was in. And I didn't sleep or ever go back there. I didn't sleep that night, and I never went. Do you want to come over? We have some more films? Nope. I'm good. It could be a Disney film for all I care. I will never get that out of my head.
Yeah,
never went back there.
I think with me, the supernatural element, like Record's got a bit of that supernatural element in it. Same with the Paranormal Activity movies. I really struggle with them.
Do you mean struggle as in that you find them scary, or you think they're crap?
Gory stuff doesn't really bother me, but stuff that has paranormal, like that Martyrs I mentioned earlier, there's religious tones in that. I'm not religious at all. But that sort of stuff, like the angels and demons sort of thing, it's just really I don't know, like Paranormal Activity with the cult and that. Oh, that's horrible.
See, I don't find the paranormal stuff
frightening,
scary because it's like my brain knows that's not real. It's the stuff that is almost real to a degree, like Resident Evil 7, even though there's a lot of biological stuff going on. It is. If you take that out, it's a family of people who've trapped you in their house and are trying to kill you. And
that could have been that game's premise, really.
Yeah.
I've got a film for you. It is classed as a horror film, I would say. The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp. Have you ever seen that?
No, but I've heard about that, yeah.
Have you seen that, John?
I'm trying to think if I have, or am I getting confused with Sleepy Hollow? Sleepy
Hollow is the one with the Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
Which is a great movie.
Confused with Sleepy Hollow. No, I haven't. Ninth Gate. I'm just trying to... Go on that. I'm just trying to think of a different film that starred Arnold Schwarzenegger at the moment. So if you say what...
The Ninth Gate.
End of Days.
That's it.
Yeah, that's a good film. Yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger, End of Days, yeah.
Yeah, because that's a horror
Yeah, it kind of
isn't
is.
it?
It's an action movie set with a kind of demonic
Religious
He
undertone.
fights
isn't
a
it?
end of the world.
demon or something. I don't
Yeah, he does at the end.
Yeah.
I think it's the devil, but yeah. So the Night Skate's great. I'd recommend it because it is basically about this book collector, Johnny Depp, this rare book collector, and a millionaire asks him, and this millionaire is obsessed with the devil. He's got all the devil's works, or known works, should I say, quotation marks in the air. And he's got this vast library of all these writings over this history of all writings about the devil, like the Devil's Bible, etc. And he's got this one book called The Ninth Gate, and there's 3 of them apparently. And anyway, cut a long story short, this millionaire asks Johnny Depp to go to the other owners of this book. One's in Paris, one's in Italy, I believe, and study the books. He thinks that there's differences that Satan put in the books. And it's really good. It's sort of noir, like sort of noir. Yeah. Very similar to like how Frantic shot. If anyone's seen Frantic,
No.
it's a Roman Polanski film. It's a really the way it's shot. So it's very noir, and again good suggestion from me really. Anyone else?
I was just going to say I don't. That this covers loads of films, but kids in horror movies.
As in, they are the scary thing.
They are the scary thing. So The Grudge,
right?
Which the kid doing the cat meow from the loft space. That was horrible and terrifying.
Yeah.
And the night after I watched that film, my mum and dad had left the loft hatch open in my room, and I didn't know. So I woke up and was like, "Oh God, no!" Omen.
Yeah, I've not seen that. What's that about?
Basically, this woman has a kid. The kid is the son of the devil.
Right.
Because what they end up doing is they basically swap her baby. So they kill her baby and give her the son of the devil.
Oh.
And
Like a cult?
yeah, a cult. It's all the religious one kind of thing. But the kid is... I think the kid ends up causing her to die, not actually killing her, but causing her to die because I think he can control animals. I can't remember. It's been ages since I've watched
Reminds
it.
me of Carrie.
But they find
Oh,
Carrie's obviously one.
yeah. Keep going. We'll talk about Carrie in a second.
But then I think he's born from a jackal or like a jackal woman, and they find the skeleton of the jackalish woman, but with her baby.
Yeah,
They rebooted it as well.
Every horror film has been remade. Recently.
Yeah.
So
How many
when you ask,
Halloweens are there?
Is it an old film? It's like it is an old film. They also probably did a really rubbish update of it recently. But yeah, Omen's quite an old film. I feel like there was an Exorcist sequel maybe called. Oh, I don't know.
There was an Exorcist remake, but you can't beat the original. The original Exorcist, again, that religious undertone.
Yeah.
It just kills me a little bit. I'm like,
Really, I don't see that. I found I heard when I was a kid, when I was like 15.
Don't tell me you were laughing at the screen.
Absolutely. I was always told The Exorcist is the scariest movie ever made.
It was banned.
People fainted in the cinema. So when I was like at a sleepover, it's like, we're going to watch The Exorcist. And I'm there going, I want to go home. But I'm a big man. So I sat there and watched it. And it was it's the funniest film I've ever seen. It had aged so badly to that point that it was just funny to me.
Yeah, I struggle with it. I really, really do.
As someone who's not religious, it's fascinating that you find that.
Yeah.
Where I find the things that could So to me, one of the scariest films I've ever seen is Alien. The
original.
The first time I watched it,
First Alien film was terrifying when you first watched it.
I watched it on my own as a 13-year-old kid. Like the first time, or say, like one of the very few times my parents left me on my own while they went out.
13.
Mm-hmm. So I was like watching it in the dark on my own. And I thought it was going to be like an action film because I was told they were all like action films. Oh no. And the fact that you never see the alien.
I think someone forgot to put the S on the end of that suggestion.
Yep.
Aliens is an action movie. There's horror elements, but yeah.
So of course the face huggers where you always hear the
perfect sound effect.
So then you're lying in bed and all you can hear is like your house creaking and you're like, is that no, it's not real.
You're a kid, and you think
this could be the time. Like I could be the story that is like the alien life is discovered. Obviously now I'm a lot older and I know how stupid that is, but
I think that film, one of the most frightening parts of that film for me is, at the end, this is not a spoiler, but well, it is. But if you haven't watched
it's
Alien,
it's like over 30
If you haven't
years
watched
old.
Alien now, then you're not going to.
yeah, it's released in the 70s. But anyway, when she's destroying the ship at the end, and the sound of the alarms, and she's trying to run around the ship in total darkness with all these like warning lights going off, and the sheer sound of the ship, and she's just got to try and get everything from A to B, and you just don't know where this alien is. It's frightening.
Yeah.
It's really good the way it's shot.
Yeah.
Any more before we close out?
War of the Worlds. Not so much the Tom Cruise one. They're very, very. In fact, not even the movies. The original. Have you ever heard the original? No, the radio show. So this thing terrified me as a child. My mom scarred me for life.
What should make you listen
with
to
this?
this?
So War of the Worlds was, I think it was a book, and then they did this radio show did a kind of dramatic reading of it.
Right.
And it was back in the day before television was everywhere, so everyone had the radio, and they'd get around the radio and listen, and people were tuning into the radio before, like, just after it had started, so that, you know, this is a story. And it's presented as a proper radio.
And people thought
it was actually happening. So it caused all sorts of chaos and stuff. And it's got this like really iconic, really iconic soundtrack.
Oh yeah, my dad has got it on vinyl.
Yep.
And it's amazing soundtrack.
Yep. But it's the first mildly scary film I ever saw, apart from Michael Jackson's Thriller, which terrified me as a child. No. So it was the first mildly scary film I ever saw in my life. So hearing that song takes me back to being like a 4-year-old kid, just terrified of these aliens in this movie and the sounds that they make. And if I watched it now, it'd probably be really laughable, but it was just the whole concept of these radio broadcasts being presented as real that my brain just, it broke me as a child.
It's mad how perception back then, because we wouldn't, because of everything we're exposed to now, media and games and everything. If we was to tune into the radio in the car and that was going on, we'd just be like, lol.
What's this?
Well,
and it could really be happening, and we'd still be like, whoa, what's this?
Desensitized.
Yeah,
now.
that's exactly the word.
Because what is it? Because zombie films, well,
they've been done to death.
They've been done to death, but there are certain zombie films, like The Walking Dead had that element of who's going to die next. Now, fair enough, it was taken from a comic, so you did have some idea that Rick wasn't going to die, even though that scene with his horse getting ripped apart and him getting into the tank
in the city
was like, because it's that whole thing that terrifies me in regards to those is being torn apart while you're still alive. I don't like it when that happens, because that's happened in a few films now. Obviously, Shaun of the Dead, they did a really
that one,
obviously that was a comedy-ish one.
Dylan Moran gets pulled out the window.
Yeah, and they rip his intestines out.
Yeah.
That part is why when you're getting or crushed by a crowd, that's like
Oh yeah.
But
Jon Snow, Game of Thrones.
that was horrible.
Yeah.
That gave me so much with the Battle of the Bastards. Where
Battle of the
climbing
Bastards.
out, he's trying to swim out of dead bodies, and I'm watching that and thinking that would never happen. No person could do that. What I'm seeing now is impossible, and then realizing that that's impossible, and how I would feel if it was me, I'd be dead, and you'd be having a panic attack under there, and nothing or no one could do anything about it.
That is just
giving me the willies.
Yeah, and that's not even it. I can describe scenes in horror movies that make me like cringe, like Hostel, where they take an eye out or something, and
Hostel movies are not good at all.
And Saw and Jigsaw or whatever they're called now.
We could go on forever. There is so many horror films. You just mentioned a couple of franchises there that we haven't even spoken about.
Saw and Jigsaw, but the one that terrified me, the last one I'm just going to mention, the one that terrified me the most was, and it's probably not even terrifying now, I haven't watched it in years, Witches. One where they turn him into a mouse.
And they turn him into a mouse, yeah, that's very odd.
Because
Mike's probably too young for that. By a couple of years.
It is terrifying. Like the main witch. Is it Morticia?
No.
Is this a film or a book?
It's a
It
Roald
was
Dahl
a
book.
Roald Dahl book
And
turned into a film.
It was while his film, like the popular era where his books were being turned into films, and
Okay.
it's the witches in that are the prosthetics are very, very, very convincing and very scary for a kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we could leave it there. We could go on all night, but I think we need to get
It's
on
always
to...
next year.
Yeah. I think we need to go on to the next topic, which is what are we playing? And
It's the same for everyone.
it's the same for everyone
it's
this
a
week.
bit of a stupid question. Although,
So-
I just want to preface now to anyone who is listening to this, they know what we're talking about. They know it's Red Dead Redemption 2. Story spoilers, anything to do with the missions or any kind of character stuff, we're not going to touch
Yeah.
for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All we're going to talk about now is just how it feels to
Yeah.
play and what we like. But no, you're not going to get anything that's going to ruin any story.
Yeah, no
Unless-
spoilers.
Unless we let John talk for too long.
So, I was driving back from work last Friday, and I said to myself, I'm not getting Red Dead Redemption. I thought,
You
"Don't."
even phoned me.
I know I did, and I was like, I can't. And then something just washed over me, and I was like, I can't not play like a Rockstar game that comes out once every 7 years.
It's the gaming equivalent of Avengers Infinity
Yeah,
War. It's
it
like
is,
it's
yeah.
Rockstar have never released a bad game, and they've never released a good game. They always release great games. So it's always worth full price. And I think about how much I've bought GTA 3 times, 4 times actually. Thank you.
Yeah, we're not going to go into that.
And I must have put like thousands of hours into it, just doing all sorts of different stuff.
It's funny you should say that because it was Friday, maybe Saturday, because he was around mine, and an article came up about GTA, and it says GTA has made I think 6 billion.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's obviously it was already one of the fastest selling
But can we
video
just?
games.
That's bigger than any media on the planet today.
Yeah.
No film has ever. I don't know about franchise. I don't know if like the Harry Potter franchise as a whole has made that, but
Probably, yeah. But
that's a crazy article. I was with you when you read that, by the way.
yeah, it was just. But it was funny that you mentioned Avengers: Infinity War because I saw something and someone made this video and it was Thor coming into Wakanda, where he does that. But it wasn't. Each of the characters was labelled up as a game, like one as a single player game. So, like say. Bruce Banner in the Iron Man suit was God of War, and Black Panther was another great Marvel Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And Thor comes in, and it's basically his axe is Red Dead Redemption 2, and he's got The Last of Us and Days Gone or something, and the horde that is attacking them is EA and Activision, and it's like Red Dead's here to fight back for the single-player story games, even though it has an online, but it was like. Yeah, they are fighting back. In the last few months, single-player games have come back.
Well, I'd say the last few years, there's been a couple. God of War, The Last of Us was a few years
God
ago.
of Yours was here.
No, but I mean,
Yeah,
The Last of Us was a couple of years back. But yeah, I mean, I got this game, went to Sainsbury's, bought this game, went home, installed it. Took a while, took an hour and a half. It was a big game, which we spoke about the other week.
I don't want to talk about how long mine took to install.
Oh, do you know what?
12 hours.
I put it on. Is that how long it took you?
Yeah, because I didn't get a physical copy. I got it digital.
Right, so I put it on, right, and I got a 4K telly. I'm very fortunate to have a 4K setup.
Here we go.
And I'm telling you, wow. And this game, it took me 2 hours to get into it fully, but this game is just, it's the attention to detail for me.
The immersion is in.
You've got the best console for it, the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. I've seen a lot online where this game's been very divisive. Where people like us really enjoy it. We love how immersive it is. We can sit there and really get into it. A lot of people who prefer things like Call of Duty and FIFA and those kind of
fast-paced fixes.
Yeah, I don't want to insult them, but just those like.
Plug in and play, basically.
More casual gamers are finding it very, like, they're expecting another GTA and they're getting a really in-depth, it's very slow-paced. Like, I found everything's been very slow-paced, walking around very slow to take in. You're walking through the mud, leaving footprints and mud splashing up on you. Yeah. And if you were just running through like any other game that you play, you would never notice it. But because the game is like, hey, we put effort into this, look at it. And I'm like, I win, it's great.
People react, you can start conversations. People talk, and the world is alive.
So, speaking of the mud and that and your clothes, I unfortunately didn't get a clean kill on a deer, so I shot it and it managed to run off a little bit.
Was it dying in the distance?
It was sort of limping. I managed to kill it and then finish it off. But then I picked up the deer and then put it back on my horse, and there was blood running down my horse. And I get to the camp and someone says, "You're going to have to change your clothes," and I'm like, "This is amazing."
Yeah, it's. Do you know have you left your carcasses on your horse? I left them on my horse because I couldn't figure out how to donate to the camp. Yeah. But I went to sleep because I thought I'll sell them in the morning. And by the time 9 hours had passed, there was flies swarming around my carcass, and it says partially decomposed carcass. I'm like, wow! And there's blood dripping down my horse. You throw the
and your horse is not happy with you.
Yeah,
you've got to clean your horse.
Yeah,
and your guns.
You know what he says to you? Brush your horse and go through water.
Yeah.
I'm like.
So I don't have a brush at the moment, so I was looking for a river for ages.
So I could just spend ages just looking after more. And
I played poker for an hour yesterday, Harry.
Yeah.
And I just.
In the game.
Yeah, and I played a bit longer than you should do, and I was just like 10 cents betting. I was just loving it. I was like, this to me is Sunday afternoon. I'll play poker on Red Dead.
You know, you can play poker in not GTA Online, Red Dead Online.
Yeah, so when the online comes, we will probably play a fair few. Liar Dice was a good one.
Liar Dice was good.
That's not going to be in this new one. They've taken Liar Dice out.
I don't know what GTA Online has. Obviously, I have looked at. There are a lot of achievements in relation to GTA Online, so you're not going to be able to 100% this game without going on the online, which... Yeah, I'm not a big fan of when games do that.
We explained this in our first episode,
but you're ahead of me. You're probably a few missions behind me. But the whole, if you've watched my Let's Plays, you'd know anyway. But it's just the world is just amazing, and then you've got the cinematic camera that turns it essentially into a film as you're riding along, and it's just
there's a cinematic view. If you hold select, you can
I know you can change it.
Oh, sorry, did you say? Sorry, I thought you just said the whole game was cinematic.
Well, it is the whole cinematic.
There's a frame that you can select that actually makes the film the screen go widescreen.
Yeah, I know. You press back.
Oh, it's so good, mate.
The Rockstar game. So this game in particular, but what they did when they released GTA 5 on the next gen consoles is they do something that I don't entirely agree with. Yet I think it's a very clever approach that other games take badly, which is the killing of animals in games.
Have you read the article about it?
No, but you can tell me about that in a sec. So most games, like Tomb Raider does this as well, where it's like, oh, we need you to hunt, and you hunt, you kill an animal, you get its stuff. It gives you power-ups in your costume and stuff.
The first Tomb Raider, just following on quickly for what you're saying, when you skin the carcass, you left like a little bony carcass there.
Yeah.
Now, in the latest Tomb Raider, you don't do any of that. Which to me, realism, it just takes me out of that game, which looks real. Whereas Red Dead, go on.
But like, so with Tomb Raider, you're like slaying animals with you just murder like random wildlife, and I'm like, a small part of me is like, well, why do games need to feature just randomly killing animals? And then when they released GTA 5, they're like, oh, you can now have cats and dogs, and I'm like, so you can kill innocent cats and dogs in the game? And I was like, that's awful. And there are awful people who probably walk up and just shoot all these cats and dogs. But then I realised how much better it made the game for me, because GTA is known as a game where you drive around causing havoc. But if you're a good person and you don't want to kill 3D dogs, you don't drive around like a maniac. It adds consequence for playing like a pleb. And then as I pull up into the first town in Red Dead, a dog runs up alongside me, and I'm like, I'm now going to be so careful. I'm going to be so careful anywhere I go, because if I hit a dog, I accidentally... A bunny ran under my wagon. And I felt awful.
You know, it's a challenge.
Why?
So there's... Well, I didn't know...
It's not a challenge to run over a bunny, is it?
No, when you're on a horse and you're galloping and you squash a rabbit, it goes 1 of 5 rabbits squashed with your horse.
Oh my god! See that I don't like. Why turn it into it like it's a very like the rabbit ran in front of me. I saw it coming. I couldn't slow my horse down. The rabbit didn't stop. It's its own fault. But then turning it into a challenge, it's like I don't want to go and purposely squash rabbits with a horse. That's awful. That's an awful thing to do.
So let's talk about attention to detail. I want to just start off. I mean, we've made a few.
Just before you move on, just going back onto that. I don't know because you hadn't read the article. If you shoot a dog on Red Dead, the townsfolk will chase you out of town.
Good.
So that whole thing, consequences for animals, they don't take kindly for you killing their dogs.
Yes.
They will chase you out of town.
I like that. Give these, like, the people who are too young, like, you know how I've seen a lot of parents who have bought their kids these games where their kids are not old enough to play them, and you put a 13-year-old boy with a gun in a game and a dog, he's going to do it because he's like, haha, it's funny. And then showing them consequences like, don't be a little penis. Love it.
So sorry, Mike. Yeah, I just wanted to
fine.
finish that point off.
So one of the things I mentioned this to you before we started the podcast, but I mean, there's so many we can talk about. But the encounters that you come across in the environment, like I came across a man who ran out the bushes and had been bitten by a snake, and then you have to choose to save him or not. And if you do, you end up sucking the venom out of his leg.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like on the inside of his thigh, and Arthur kind of does it, and then he goes, just don't tell anyone about this.
Yeah.
That to me is just perfect.
Like stuff that it doesn't need to be in the game, but it makes the world feel like it's an actual world where these NPCs have their own lives and backstories that you're just happening to come across. And if you come across them or not, it doesn't make any difference. I came across a World War vet, a Civil War veteran who was just in the street.
Did he try and be your friend?
He wanted a hug.
I didn't give him one.
Didn't you? I
did.
did.
Oh, I did. I felt bad. I said, I'll be your friend.
Yeah.
And then he goes, can I get a hug? And I was like, that is weird. Especially in the 1800s, that is even weirder.
And I'm trying to play Arthur like a, I'm not going to go around being like Superman. If someone gets on my nerves, I'll cowboy them. But I was like,
cowboy. What, are you going to throw your hat at them or lasso?
Well, yeah,
I've lost my hat.
And you go back to camp, you get it back.
No, I can't find it.
no.
You can go back to the camp. You go up to your footlocker.
Yeah.
And you can get your cat back.
Oh,
So
okay.
you
I'm
can
gonna
collect-
go
you can
there.
And you also have 3 extra hats that you probably
Yeah,
don't know
you
about.
can collect hats, but like if you pick up a hat in the world, you can take it back to your camp and keep it forever, and it's in your inventory.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But if you pick up a hat and then lose that hat that you're trying to take back, you have to.
Yeah,
go.
that does come up.
Yeah.
You unlock. What I found out today is that you unlock. The more moral you are, the good deeds that you do. There's bonuses, so you get percentage off at stores.
Is it the same benefits going the other direction?
I don't know.
Not the same benefits, but similar.
Something
Negatives.
happens. Like, there's fear maybe, so they might give you a little bit of extra
Yeah,
cost,
yeah.
like But yeah, so I think when you get real full, it's 50% off at the stores, which is great. And I know that they also you unlock outfits. And I love how, again, attention to detail, you can store. I went through so much yesterday. You can store like winter clothes on your horse.
Yeah, I've done that.
And change when you need to. It's
The game keeps telling me your horse hasn't got anything good for winter, and I'm like, well, just like real life, I'm not going to take my coat out with me.
Well, back then,
until it's really cold. At the moment, it's really cold, and I'm still wearing a hoodie because I can't remember to get my coat.
they didn't have Uber back then, so you couldn't just get an Uber back home.
No, playing the game in the winter, like everybody looks cold. All the snow bits, everyone looks cold. And then I hadn't got my heating on, and I was cold, and I was so immersed. Like just the way they do, like the carcasses of the deer that you have to feed the camp. So this is the kind of killing animals in games I can get along with.
Well, this is for survival.
Yeah,
I know you can do it just for sport, and you put it towards a coat.
Yeah,
but you are ultimately gonna give it back to camp, aren't you?
You kill those deer to feed those starving people.
Yeah.
Which is no different to me going to Tesco and buying a chicken.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just in a game, and I wasn't killing the deer for fun.
Which some people will be.
Which some people will go around killing animals for fun. Fuck those people.
That was in Red Dead
1.
Red Dead
Redemption 1, yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 1, where you had to work your way up to kill the legendary animals. So in order to kill the leopard, it shouldn't have been there or something. You had to kill, say, 3 deer, 2 goats, a duck, and something like that.
Well, that doesn't happen in this one.
No, there's different ones for each animal. So the first one was skin 3 deer, and now the one I'm on is like skin-free, perfect rabbits. And have you seen how you skin a rabbit?
Yeah.
So
I commented on this to myself.
Oh,
I was sitting there going, he just literally held the rabbit at one end and just ripped his whole...
yeah, it's on my video. I react to it and I'm like, well, that just happened.
one of the major criticisms of the first game.
I need that video, by the way.
Okay.
That's what I was talking about.
Okay.
One of the major criticisms of the first game was the animation where it was an unskippable animation where you skin the animal. So you kill it and it would be a shot of John Marston from below, so you couldn't see the animal, and it would just be him stabbing his knife in. Same motion, same sound effect every time, unskippable. It was like every time, over and over and over again, and people were like, it's the only annoying part of this game. Skinning an animal, same sound effect, can't skip it, it's annoying. So in this one, when you first skin that deer,
Oh God, yeah.
I was expecting I was expecting what I've normally seen, where
Opens it up like a chocolate wrapper.
he sticks his knife in, and then it's like he's taking a jacket off it or something. I'm like, whoa! That's a bit. I know it's realistic, bit much.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that bunny one, I was a little bit like, oh, I'm going to skin it. Okay, I'm going to end the video here. Let me just skin this rabbit. What the hell?
Yeah.
I'm going to go now.
When, as well, you're galloping on your horse for a long period of time, this happened to me, and it's cold, you're in a cold area, there was, like, heat rising off the back of the horse.
Yeah.
Which is like, wow. Like, that happens to me when I go running in winter.
Yeah.
Like, heat comes off me, and when horse balls was mentioned, I was thinking, what is this game all about?
Yeah.
And now I know why it's so real.
I haven't looked at haven't seen any horse balls.
Neither have I.
Oh, I've seen horse balls. Yeah.
Thinking about how the game plays, I wouldn't know how I would go about crouching down by a horse long enough to stare at the balls.
Well, they do kick you, yeah.
Oh yeah, I haven't experienced that, but some of those videos of people getting kicked by. They do it on one of the trailers though. They shoot someone off a horse, and that person backflips off the horse, and the horse kicks him in midair. It just and that's not scripted. That was just the physics engine doing that kind of thing.
Have you been shat on by your horse?
No, what is happening?
Yeah. So it was when you go hunting with Charles.
Yeah.
So this is in the prologue, so very, very early on
Yeah,
in
it's
the
just
game.
the hunting tutorial.
The hunting tutorial.
yeah.
So I've took the deer back, I put it on the horse, and as I'm putting the deer on, and I'm kind of doing a step round and lashing it on, shit's on my shoes. And I'm like, and then obviously that's steaming.
Does he react to it?
Well, not really. If he did, I was reacting to it anyway.
You probably missed it while you were
probably
going,
missed
"What?"
it. I was like, this game's that realistic. A horse has just shat on my shoes. But that's like, I think the only other game that I'm aware that shitting wasn't really
Division.
a thing was it?
The Division, the dogs would.
Oh, I was not going to say Ark.
Oh no, yeah, you can. No,
You can pick up your
Yeah.
shit.
Well,
and throw it.
you need it to create certain
there's no animals in Division apart from dogs, isn't there? And those dogs will stop and poo. And sometimes, if you were lucky, a dog would stop and poo on someone you'd just killed. So it was just like that extra insult.
So yeah, I think in 2 weeks' time we will have we'll do a special where we actually talk about this in depth.
Yeah, it'll be the talking point.
I don't think
be.
we're going to finish it though in 2 weeks.
We're not gonna.
I think we're all going to be far enough away through that we can talk about it in good detail.
60 hours story.
I don't want to rush it though.
No,
I want to enjoy. I want to go off the beaten path like Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and just go off and just enjoy
So I
myself.
spent 50 quid on this game, and as we've mentioned I don't think we mentioned in the podcast previously, I can't afford to buy a game like I used to. Like I probably would have bought Tomb Raider, I may have bought Call of Duty back in a day once gone by, and I would have bought Red Dead, so that's like 120 quid.
Yep. Well, this is what we were talking about the other week on our podcast, where you got to choose.
I bought two full price games this year. Two.
Yeah. Well, you got to choose what your media you're consume because again, it comes down to time and cost. And I've still got Tomb Raider to finish, John, and I want to get Hitman 2, which comes out, but it's not going to happen.
No,
I got to get Red Dead done. So.
Yeah. This is the rest of my year now. Is Red Dead.
So we have to move on, unfortunately. We could talk about how beautiful Red Dead is forever, but we're going to move on to this week's film discussion. And last week, Harry asked us to watch 2 episodes of Black Mirror. And they are very, how do I put this? Black Mirror is very dark So it fits in nicely with this sort of Halloween special.
That's
podcast.
why I chose Playtest. It's the most Halloweeny episode.
Well, let's talk about White Bear first.
Yep.
So I want to give my thoughts first, if that's all right.
What the question I want to ask is, as it was going through the first time, what did you think the outcome was going to be? What were you expecting her on this journey to find?
I didn't expect
what actually happened.
However, I did think that she killed her child. But I thought that she'd done it because of the signal.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't realise.
I side with that.
Yeah, because there's a flashback where they're watching this something burning.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe they've killed her. But when it happened, I was like, she's obviously a serial killer.
Yeah.
Now, to me, she deserves everything she gets.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's such but it's just, to me, it's the most. Just put a bullet in her. Right. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? I'm very old-fashioned. Like, get the noose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for people like that, because it's like you're going to waste so much time and resources putting people in prison or doing this elaborate thing, which is what White Bear's about.
Yeah.
When you could just be done with her.
So.
And I did feel sorry for her, but then at the same time,
right,
when I found out, I was like this, and then like when she's screaming at the end, and it's like, this is like dark stuff, man.
So the thing that I find interesting is I don't believe it's her punishment. I believe like it's the society of seeing this happen. Someone horrible has done something to a child again, and her boyfriend essentially got away with it. He killed himself in prison.
Yep.
He couldn't be punished, and it's one of those how like another person in society has done this, and this is
setting an example.
It's not punishing her. It's society almost saying like, this is how we are dealing with our guilt. We feel like we're punishing her over and over again, when actually this woman she can't feel guilt for what she's done, because you see, it's when her mugshot appears at the end. So she's on stage, they spin her around, and she sees her mugshot, and her in her mugshot looks like a completely different person. The mugshot has no remorse, no guilt, looks like a horrible person. The person in the chair isn't that person anymore. She's been punished almost what someone else has done, and then she has to, like, every day she
did commit the crime as well.
She did commit the crime, and she's going through the punishment, but then she wakes up the next day and all that guilt and all that punishment she feels the day before is gone. So she's not having to live with what she's done. She has no idea she's doing this over and over again every day. Which I think makes it just immoral to me, on a human rights sort of level, where to me she's voided her human rights for killing a child, but to me, just be done with her. Yeah.
Well, this is the whole thing. I was very one. It was like, what am I watching? And then when it like, I was like, oh, this is a bit weird. It's like phones, and it's like, oh, society and the phones, and I was thinking, yeah, this is what it is. It's saying society, blah 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 blah, and then he's talking about mental illness, and I was thinking, oh, maybe she's mentally ill. That's why she's not been affected.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And then when the reveal happens, like, I did think something's happened with her daughter, like she's killed her daughter to stop, or if it wasn't even her daughter, I don't think.
No, it's just
but I was very conflicted because she wasn't the one that did the crime, yet she's being essentially tortured, and she is starting to remember because she said it in the car.
Yep.
I went, I know you.
Yep.
And it's like, there are people that have done far worse. Now, fair enough, this woman has done something horrible. She's filmed a kid being tortured, if you haven't watched the episode. But
yeah, she doesn't participate.
She doesn't actually participate. She just records it. But there's far worse people in the world.
Yep, and that person killed himself in jail.
Yeah, but they've made a theme park.
Yeah.
To go and torture this woman, and people are paying. I was just like,
kids are going as well.
I was like,
so
why not just?
I wonder what they're doing to
penalty.
Because my wife said, well, how? Because obviously she has the water, which is fine, but they're not feeding her. So at some point she must die.
Well, there was that, yeah.
And then what happens is they must get another one in.
Maybe, yeah.
And then just keep going with all the like on a death row.
Yeah.
But like rather than go to death,
I never looked at it like that.
They just go to this place because
she doesn't eat. She has the drink in the morning, but you think about it, she gets up, she looks around the house, she goes out the front door.
She's running around.
Immediately gets chased by the guy in the white bear mask.
Yeah.
Then they're in the petrol station. Then they're being chased. Then they're in the car with him. Then he's tying her to, essentially summing up the episode, she doesn't eat.
Yep. So unless it's supposed to be inferred that at some point along the going between the stage and being put in that chair, she's fed. Nope. And I never thought of it like Mike said, that maybe this is death row and she does this until she dies. However, so one of the things I like about Black Mirror episodes is the replay, like with games where there's replayability, there's rewatchability in these. So I went back and watched this for the second time for this podcast, and you realise that everything that has been done to her, everything she screams and says, is exactly what she did to that child. So that child was being tortured and was probably screaming for help, and she just stood there and filmed, and no one helped. And she's literally there saying, "Why is everyone just filming me? Why is no one helping?" And she was made to go through exactly what she put that child through. So she didn't kill the child. She put the child through the kind of, "Why aren't you helping me?" And then there's conversations she has with people where she's like, "Why aren't people helping me?" And they go, "Oh, because people are like that. You give people the opportunity to do that and get away with it, and they will. And these people, they're not affected by the signal. They're doing it on purpose because they can. They're going to get away with it." And watching it again, you realise you're saying that to her because that's what she did. And it's just such a fascinating kind of, if this was in real life, how would you feel about it?
This is the conflicted part because because are they going to build a theme park for every criminal? Because this is quite recent.
Yeah.
There have been people before that have done more horrible stuff, which, again, obviously this is a made-up world. But again...
Well, that's where I think they're on like a death row, and they'll just come through. There'll be another child molester or murderer that comes through, and they'll do the same to him.
Yeah, but then they're going to have to rebrand it. It's not going to be the white bear.
No, because her punishment was very much specific to her. She was suffering what she did.
Maybe they're like detention centres then. Maybe there's thousands of them.
Well, again,
rather than go to the cinema, you go to one of these to get your fix, which is odd and dark and horrible. And that's
again,
it's never watch anything again like this, Harry.
You've got 4 seasons of better episodes. I did not.
Again,
I purposely didn't pick the best episodes.
But again, it is a deterrent.
Yeah.
Because if you see what this person's going through every day, again, it is death row. The body is going to give out unless they give her weekends to recover, remember what she did, and then wipe her again.
That's why
into it too much.
The plot point of her boyfriend killing himself is just the perfect touch to it because he essentially gets away with it. So. So you think, prison should be a deterrent. It's clearly not. Death row should be a deterrent. It's clearly not. People who do this are willing to die when they get caught. So this perpetual torture. But then at the same time, she doesn't know why this is happening to her.
Which makes it worse for me.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
how can you get that feeling of you did something wrong and now you're being punished for it? If that person doesn't know why they're being punished, to be able to feel guilty. So at the end, she's in that box crying, and everyone's booing her and throwing things at her, and she's just found out that...
It's essentially like torturing a baby, essentially, because she's reborn.
Yeah, every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
And
she's almost been punished
some of it... I just don't know. I felt very deflated after watching the episode, and then I watched both of them in a row.
So, good segue, John. So, before we move on to the next episode... Can I just say, I think the acting and the way that the whole thing, after seeing both episodes, is shot, it's fantastic.
Every episode is...
it's done. I think we've got I personally think, because I've seen a lot of stuff, I think we've got a very British stamp on the way we film our TVs and movies.
Yeah.
And this, to me, is very... I know it's you know what I mean? It's got that sort of... Not because it's set in the UK, but it does have that... We've got this feel...
So, some trivia: season 1 and 2, BBC. After the Christmas episode, after the Christmas special, White Christmas, which is one of the best episodes, BBC were done away with it, and Netflix were like, yoink. Yep. So season 3 and 4 has a lot more higher production values, and the episodes are very different. So some feel like high production movies, some feel like the British. I know what you mean, the British TV feel.
Yeah.
So Playtest is one of those British TV feels, but then the episode before Nosedive is almost like an American Desperate Housewives feel.
It's so odd that the BBC even because the first episode is like about a prime minister. Well, it's because David Cameron has supposedly our ex prime minister had sex with a pig's head.
Yeah,
in some ritual. Act in his like in a boys' dormitory or whatever when he was growing up in his posh school. So to me, for the BBC to allow that to happen is very odd.
But that particular episode came out before the David Cameron thing. Yeah.
So let's move on to the next episode, Playtest. Now this was horrible. This was just not the horror.
Yep.
This was the fact that, and I read a little bit of trivia about this. In the whole series of Black Mirror, this character is the only person that doesn't deserve his fate. Because apparently everyone else deserves their fate, where this guy doesn't deserve his fate. And he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
The first 10 minutes of this, I love this character. I thought he met this girl, he was going to grow happily ever after with her and have babies with this woman, and he was great and funny. And he told us that story about his dad and his mum, and I was like, mate, come in, I'll give you a hug, man.
Such a likeable guy as well.
And
on
then,
the plane at the beginning with a girl where she's scared of turbulence, and he's there going, "Put your arms in the air, way!" And it's like, yeah.
And then they do this, and this is after this. We're gonna discuss this now, but after this, I'm never watching any Black Mirror again because it's just depressing, Harry.
So I texted him last night. I went, "Thank you for ruining my Sunday evening." And he was like, that's what he did. He sent me back, ha ha ha. So to cheer myself up, I watched a Disney film.
I don't blame you.
So
should have texted me and I'd come up and watched it with you.
It is 50-50. So there are a lot of Black Mirror episodes that have very happy endings. One of the happier ending ones won a lot of awards.
Okay, so are you happy endings? Are we talking about like dark, where they sort of drawl into a corner and they're sort of dreaming of a happy ending? Or
no, there are some happy endings where something dark happens, but it's deserved, and then there are some happy endings that are genuinely like really heartwarming and touching and very.
Why couldn't you have picked one of them?
Because it was Halloween.
Oh,
yeah, it is themed.
There is
F off.
There is season. So I don't want to tell you which ones are happy endings because some of the happy endings are twists. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't want to ruin what those are.
Just yeah.
But yeah, that reaction, that is it. Because you've got this guy. He's obviously left home for some reason. I thought originally he was sneaking out of a girl's bedroom.
Sad reason.
But then it's a sad reason because his dad died because of Alzheimer's, dementia,
and he's run away because he doesn't know how to deal with it. So he's left his mum on her own.
And you fight. Is that how his mum is at the end?
No,
that was
he was afraid it was going to happen to his mom.
That
she would get Alzheimer's. So obviously he gets back and find out, oh, you've got Alzheimer's. And the best part of this episode, it's not the best part. It's the kicker is that all happens in 0.4 seconds.
It's mad, isn't it?
No one could have done anything about it, and it only happened because my sister always points to this because my mom lives in Devon, and if I forget to call my mom on her birthday or something, she always points to this episode because if he'd just called his mom or answered the phone, his phone wouldn't have gone off whilst he was in there. And he would still be alive.
That's a good point, actually.
If he'd just
would have
mom,
got money for his plane ticket, and he would have been sat at home, having a heart-to-heart with his mum.
Got to chill with that really nice girl. She was really nice.
True.
But he still got the night before.
Yeah.
That's to be fair, getting to talk to his mum, going home safe and sound. But yeah. Because why I say that is because I thought they were going to end up together. That's how I watched that. I was like, they make a really good couple. She's wicked. She's class.
Yeah.
It broke my heart. The end.
What was his?
As she's typing in the computer, what was his last words? Called for his mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, essentially, that's what.
This is
my wife was well upset, man. She was like, how does this happen to good people? And I was like,
this is why I love this TV show because it's like just like you can watch a horror movie, it will scare you, but Black Mirror makes you think. And there are some episodes that really make you think about who you are as a person and how you would. And there's one about social media. There's a couple about social media in particular, but there's one. It's not a spoiler because it's the premise. There's a premise where. people are able to some hackers start this trend on Twitter where if you can vote for a famous person by hashtagging them and @ing them on Twitter, and whoever has the most votes at the end of the week will die. So all these people the internet's given the power to kill any famous person they want anonymously, and you think, well, that's a really horrible thing to do. But then when you think about it, if you gave people that power nowadays, they would use it. And that's a bit of a slow episode, but it does have a good. I don't want to say whether it's a happy ending or not.
I just don't think I can.
I think this is part of the reason I didn't want to watch it, because I don't.
You're not into horror films, John?
Well,
That's
horror,
fine.
but I'm not into things that, even though this is very far off, this could fucking happen.
Yeah. Yep.
All this guy did was go, I'm going to go test the game.
To pay for a ticket home.
Yeah.
But no, he decided to go and test the horror game, not the happy little gopher game.
And then Shinji Mikami came out of nowhere and was like...
Why would you just... Oh, sorry, I'm so angry. Why would you volunteer to go test a game that digs into your head to test your own fears and will scare you? Because this was just Inception crap.
Well,
Because he was like, oh, okay, that's quite clearly fake. That's quite clearly fake. Then, the girl's there, and I'm touching the girl, but no, it's in my head, and I'm feeling the pain, and no. All happening in 0.4 seconds. He was tortured to death. I'm so angry about this.
So what I love about this episode in particular is because Charlie Brooker, the guy who made the TV show, he used to be a video game writer, so he used to work for magazines and write about video games. So he loves video games. So you may have noticed all the very Resident Evil feel to it.
That whole house with the light on, that's Resident Evil 7.
Yeah. So the beginning of the game where he's at the girl's apartment, he's looking at her games.
Mm-hmm. Are those all his favourite games, or the games he's
it's all Metal Gear. It's all his favourite games. It's all Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil, and there's one movie. There's one movie in this list of games. There's one DVD.
Okay, what is it? I didn't catch
Face Off.
Okay, yeah.
And what happens to the girl when he sees her in the horror version? He pulls her face off.
Yeah.
What I love about this show is there's just all this stuff. If you go back, when he's doing the Gopher bit, she puts the disc down. One of the QR codes is the white bear.
Whack-a-mole.
And one of those QR codes is the white bear symbol.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
Also,
I did, I caught that.
Cooper's last name. That's why I told you to watch him in
That's
that
cool.
order.
That's cool.
Cooper's last name, you never find out until the end when they type it in the box. It's just flashed up for a second. It's Redfield from Resident Evil.
You're joking?
It's like...
that's cool, because this was a Resident Evil... That's why I said Shinji Mikami, because that Japanese goal, Chinese goal, whatever nationality... He's Shinji Mikami to me. He's the creator of Resident Evil.
It goes more... So, towards the end, he's like... They're trying to get him to open a door, and he won't open his door into this bed. He was like, I can't do it. I'm scared of what I'm going to see in there. I'm not going to do it. And the woman, the voice says... Would you kindly open the door? And he opens the door and it's Bioshock. It's that episode. Every single episode of Black Mirror is just filled with stuff like that.
Harry, I don't know, mate. You're not selling it to me. I'm not doing it.
Go and watch. I'll make it up to you. Go and watch San Junipero. It's the same season. San Junipero, and that one will repair your...
If this is bad...
It's not bad.
I'm not talking to you for a while.
It's not bad. It's that's the episode that won an Emmy and all that kind of stuff.
Right, we're going to have to move on.
Yep.
Is there anything else we want to say? John, have you got anything else to add just before we move on?
Just talking about it and remembering it, I feel bad.
Oh yeah.
I just feel
good. I've had a lot of people I've had a lot of messages from people this week saying they hate me because they've seen it now, and now they've gone and binged the entire lot of them. Go and watch San Junipero if you want a bit of more of an uplifting one. San Junipero is a happier one, but I'm not going to give away all the happy ending ones.
Call for his mum.
So,
sad.
Listeners, if you wouldn't mind commenting on any of our media, telling us what your thoughts were.
Giving Harry abuse.
Giving Harry a lot of abuse. Let us know what your thoughts were for Harry's discussion and suggestion of the film. So, next week, we will be asking you guys to go and watch V for Vendetta.
Yes!
Which stars Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving. It was released in 2005 and is a dystopian political thriller. Now, this is a great film. And
I'm just happy to rewatch it again.
I haven't seen it in a while. So.
It's in line with Bonfire Night, which is when our next podcast is pretty much due out. So go away, consume this content. Even if you've got no interest in it, you've seen it a million times, give it another go, refresh your memory, ready for next week's discussion.
What's it on? Have you had a look at where they can? Is it on Amazon or Netflix?
I
Good
think
job.
it will be on Netflix
Right,
or
It's
Amazon.
not on Netflix.
It'll probably be on Amazon.
It's probably on Amazon, but I've got access to the DVDs.
Okay, so yeah, that was great. So we're going to move on to the last segment.
Wait. Can I just?
Yep.
Did you enjoy Black Mirror though?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I told you, the way it was shot and the acting,
Like you,
spot on.
It wasn't a bad experience. The TV show made you feel what it wanted it to. Yeah.
It's mate. I like dark, grounded shit, and that was just a little bit too far.
That's why I've been trying to get you in particular to watch it.
It's just last night was not a good night for me watching TV because I watched the Doctor Who one. If you've watched that,
she's in an episode in season 1.
Yeah, so there was a Doctor Who episode last night where there were giant spiders. So I had my wife hiding behind the sofa. Then you watched an episode with a giant spider in, and then there was this one where it was like he goes and tests video games, which is obviously us, and then dies. And I'm just like, so I went and watched Incredibles 2 afterwards, and yeah,
Right.
well, I just all the emotions out of me from that.
San Junipero put it all back in. Cool.
Right, so the last segment of this podcast today, we will be moving on to Guess the Character.
Harry, leave the room, please.
I'm not going to get it this
So
week.
it is 2-0 to Harry. None of you got last week's, am I right?
He got it.
We didn't get the first week, and I've got the last 2.
Yes, so
Yeah,
you
Harry's
yeah.
2-0.
So it's 2-0. Come on, John. You got a couple of weeks until Christmas.
I would just like to point out, in regards to last week, the whole theme of the episode was female.
I would have got it.
No,
if it
but
had been
I just
something
had
different.
female in my head.
If it had
and
been
then you
something
picked a
different,
male
I would have got it.
I'm not always going to pick a character that's related to the main topic or any of the film suggestions.
Okay.
Okay?
If it's not Batman now, I'm going to be
I
disappointed.
feel I'll explain it once more to the listeners, but after that, I feel like hopefully people will get the drift of what it is. I can't keep explaining it every week, but yeah, the gist of it. So yeah, basically we're going to give a series of clues, 6 or so clues, and both Harry and John have 2 guesses at what the character is. The key words based on this character's, I don't know,
Based on the character.
Based on the character. Yeah. So, ready?
Yeah.
The first clue, survivor. Don't forget you got 2 guesses.
Mm-hmm.
Pilot. Cat.
Is it Ripley?
Yes. John had it on the tip of his tongue. He was like,
I had some like Leonardo DiCaprio in the desert stuff going on. And I went, oh wait.
So my
Ripley.
thought process then was, Survivor, I was thinking, okay, what's Tom Cruise's name in Castaway? And then you went pilot.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Cruise. And then I was like, pilot, and I was thinking, well, he was on a plane.
Yeah.
He wasn't the pilot, though. But then I was thinking, well, Tom Cruise was a pilot in that one with Cameron Diaz with the spy one where he has an island,
That's
a
a
desert
great film.
island.
I
And
mean,
I'm like,
I, at that point, I was with Leonardo DiCaprio in a desert for some reason. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah,
there.
and then you went cat, and I was like, people with cats, Ripley. And he bloody said it, and I was
So
like,
the next clue was Queen.
Oh right, okay.
Then it was Jonesy.
Oh,
See, if you'd put Jonesy instead of cat, I may have
Well,
got
I'm
it.
not going to do that, am I? You're going to get easier clues as you get to the end. And
you'd
then
have
the
lost
last,
me at Jonesy. Was that the name of the cat?
that's the name
That's
of
the
the
name
cat.
of the cat.
And then the last clue was Power Loader, which I mean, come on, like that to me.
Didn't need them.
Didn't
need them.
So Harry's now 3-0 up. Come on, John.
I'm not good at this.
I'm getting
You are good at
I'm
this.
not good at this.
You are.
Give me pictures and then I'll be fine.
Show me a picture of the character.
Give me a picture of the cat.
So, anything else you guys want to add before we close out?
I hate Harry.
I'd go and watch San Junipero and you'll restore your faith. Or 50 million merits also is a...
But this isn't the film suggestion.
Oh, no.
The film suggestions of
V for Vendetta,
but
yes.
for us personally, me and John,
Yes.
go and watch these episodes.
You watch them all as a whole, you'll get it. I did pick 2 of the most miserable ones. I think there may be one that there's one that's
on a
worse.
Sunday as well, of the worst day of the week to watch miserable stuff.
There's one that in particular I got a message about that was struck some nerves with people, but no, the rest are not that bad.
Okay, so that's all we have time for today. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Remember, you can find us on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
Wow.
Please like and subscribe.
Please like and subscribe. Join us next time for more Overthinking at Overthinking Media. See you later.